Hello and welcome to this behind-the-scenes look at the making of The Great Bug War. We came up with the story as a way to celebrate the second anniversary of the RP repository. One of the key things we wanted to show was all the characters coming together to defend it. With thousands of character profiles on the site, we knew we had to do something really big, and an epic battle with everyone present seemed like the way to go. The problem is, MovieStorm is not designed for scenes of that scale. At most, it can handle 15 to 20 characters before becoming unstable. 30 makes it completely unusable. So just how did we pull this off? The solution was actually fairly simple. Line up 20 characters, take a screenshot and use that image as a texture for a very basic 3D object. Swap the characters around a bit for some variety, and make a few more. These objects can then be placed on the battlefield, creating the illusion of a huge army of characters when in fact just a handful are real. The trick is to keep the focus on those real characters by having them always at the front, distracting the viewer from realizing that those behind aren't actually doing anything. We counted 1,799 on screen at once, and that was before we added a similar number of bugs for them to fight. With the background troops created, the next step was to put the foreground characters in. We ended up with 40 from the contest, and I'll be talking about how we recreated those a bit later on. As previously stated, 40 characters is too many to have in MovieStorm at once, so I came up with the idea of breaking the army into 5 companies, each led by one of the moderators. Dylan and Sherlock opted out of appearing in the video, so they are on the left and right flank. They are leading the characters that we don't get to see any close-ups on. That leaves Sane, Seraphic Star and myself. I created a separate project file for each moderator, giving them a handful of characters each, and we get to see close-ups of them riding into battle. The other advantage of this approach was to make it very easy for me to keep track of who had already made an appearance, and also to make sure that every submitted character was actually included. When dealing with numbers like this, it's easy to miss someone. Of course, we couldn't actually complete these scenes without recreating the characters that were submitted. When we set out to make this anniversary video, we knew this would be the most challenging part. Some characters turned out to be surprisingly easy. There were costumes included with MovieStorm that looked like those worn in the character art we looked at. However, there were a few submissions that were going to be a bit more demanding. Kim and I spent a bit of time trying to figure out how we were going to do this, and in the end, I taught myself how to use Milkshake 3D to create models of new costumes and creature parts, such as horns, ears, and tails. Kim stepped up and used her amazing artistic skills to draw the textures to go on these models. Basically, I created the shapes, and she added the detail. Which leaves just one more aspect of the anniversary video to talk about, the live-action scenes. The script called for Kim to be in her office, and to appear in the realm of the repository. The office scenes were for the most part fairly straightforward. We had to make sure the lighting was good, and to pick the right camera angles. I also had to learn how to duck quickly to avoid Kim decapitating me as she drew her sword. But don't worry, my head is still firmly attached. Putting Kim into the repository would be much more of a challenge. We converted a hotel room into a green screen studio by taping several large sheets of green card to the wall and using every light we could get our hands on to make it as bright and shadow-free as possible. Thanks to having very creative imaginations, it wasn't difficult for either of us to imagine the room was actually the courtyard of a castle, and looking at the end result, it looks like we hired a professional studio for the weekend. And that is how we made the anniversary video. It was a lot of hard work and many sleepless nights over the course of 3 months, but there was never any doubt that it would turn out to be fantastic. For my part, I have to say it was the most insanely complex and demanding video project that I've ever undertaken, but it's one I'm extremely proud of.